some of those flights are very explainable. Like the flight from the QE, the Qantas flight, forget the number, from Santiago to Australia. That's a special plane, only flown by a handful of military pilots. That we had the specs on the plane that had 7 layers of heat-resistant paint. What does that tell you? It tells you that it's going faster than the average plane. So people go, well, how does a trip, from the United States to England take the same amount of time as from Santiago to Perth or whatever? And my question is, if somebody was driving 100 miles in their Ford pickup, and someone was driving 200 miles in their Ford pickup, but the guy that was driving 200 miles was driving twice as fast, they're both going to get there at the same time, right? So you have no way to know what speed the planes are going. And if you believe that planes since the 1960s haven't gotten any faster than they, since then, you believe a lot of silly stuff. So there's that, and the emergency landings are the ones that get me when they have an emergency landing. And they're landing in places that make absolutely no sense. But not only do that make sense, I'm sorry for jumping all over the place. They land in an incredible amount of time. Example, this one here, it landed in Seattle. Okay, Seattle, it's like 1,000 miles out of the way, and they got there in no time. Okay, emergency, land in Seattle. How did they get to Seattle? Well, because Seattle was right there on their flight route, right? Tons of stuff like this. This was let me show you the one that the recent one. You've probably seen a lot of these. Is I don't know if you've seen this one. Did you see this one? This was from Hong Kong. They're going to the UK. 12-hour flight, and it emergency landed in Germany. Okay, but what happened here? So 4 hours into the flight, families traveling together, little kids, father, mother dies suddenly. Damn, dead in her seat. Can't revive her. She's dead. They flew for 8 more hours without landing.
That's berserk.
Could you imagine a little kid sitting next to their dead mother for 8 hours? I make the joke, nothing's funny about this. Could you imagine sitting next to your mother for 8 hours? Okay, on an airplane. Okay, so but look what happened. The real route is here. Boom. They're over Russia the entire time. 2 problems. If you land in Russia, Russia will probably be very helpful and say, oh, let us help you, this and that. Russia, good guy, can't have that. And the other thing is, why are we over Russia? They'd have to admit that they're over Russia, right? You're not supposed to be able to fly over Russia. Pilots admit they fly over Russia all the time. Okay? So then they were here. Well, you know what? 8 hours, the damage done. Why don't you just get to your final destination rather than landing and then having them transfer the mother, so they're right there, but they landed here. Crazy.
Yes, this is an important thing for newbies to this, is that if you start doing the flight routes, you find out that it's actually accurate to the flat Earth. It has nothing to do with a globe or some globe with somebody going like this on it. None of the nonsense. Keep going on this one. This is good. So what other routes you got?
New York to Auckland, right here, emergency. They went over to Fiji. Why did they go to Fiji? Because on a flat Earth map, Fiji's right there, right? Zoom in. Fiji's right there. Okay, why is it always when there's an emergency, they land in a random airport that's nowhere near the flight route, but on a flat Earth map, it's always on that line? Okay, it's crazy.
That's true. That's true in hundreds of cases. I mean, there's so many cases. I mean, the big one, the most famous ones were the ones where they're headed to like Hawaii and they're landing in Alaska.
Right. The trips from Australia to California, they're always south of Hawaii, if I get that right, but it makes no sense on a globe. This one, Chicago to Doha, landed in Moscow. I think it's like 1,500 miles out of the way. They got there in 15 minutes. Okay? That's a problem. That's a problem for me. Wait, I'm showing you the right one. And then a recent one, which I like, is the World Cup. Okay, World Cup. They're going to Buenos Aires. They went to Rome to get fuel. That's basically out of the way. But look, Rome is right on the route.
The line.
Right on the line. Okay. How many do you need? Okay. How many do you need?